And we're on air live. What up, Warriors? Welcome to the Viking Empire Podcast, episode 3, with yours truly, Christopher, and the lovely and ever glorious Bryce. Say hello to the folks at home, Bryce.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, look at that. We got movement. Okay, so this is episode 3. Episode 3 is going to be a little bit shorter than what we usually intend. It's going to be a mini episode. First to a 3-parter. We're going to be covering Odin, the Allfather, top dog on the Norse pantheon list. And we're going to try and explore in this episode and further subsequent episodes on Odin, kind of anecdotal tales about the guy, right? Why does Odin have one eye? Why is he the top dog? What the hell are we even mentioning? What are we doing mentioning his name? We want to try and devote some time on Odin. Next up the bat, perhaps Loki, maybe Thor. After that, who knows? But for now, we're gonna, I suppose, take a pause, look back where we came from with episode 2, which you folks at home might recall was the Aesur-Vanir War, the war between the gods. Am I right in that, Bruce? Bruce, excuse me, Bryce.
Everyone calls me Bruce. It's kind of funny.
Hey,
but,
man.
Yeah, I mean,
name.
it's yeah, whatever. Replace the I. Why? It's not the I.
I don't even apologies.
This is already going off so well. Yeah, no, you're right. This is like this is a perfect time to introduce Odin after him beheading Mimir and resorting to the loss of one eye, sacrificing one eye for more knowledge type thing. So we get into that.
Oh yeah. Say, I think this might be a good time for one of them their sponsorship callouts, right?
Today it is another yeah, we should probably do that. Today we are sponsored and partnered with Children of Freya, a decent skateboarding company. Actually, a phenomenal skateboarding company.
They're great.
Yeah, they're actually really cool. I'm actually ordering a board pretty soon here. Said that earlier, but yeah, no, my board is actually wrecked. So I'm going to be ordering that here pretty soon. They're based out of Knoxville, Tennessee. They help the, less fortunate, in a sense, get on some wheels and perform sweet-ass Christ airs in the local bowls.
Excellent. Yeah. Righteous. So get on over to Children of Freya, get yourself a board, help those who need help, and do some sick tricks on some sick, nasty, pagan-inspired Norse religion. Can't go wrong with an Odin-themed board. Look at that.
Board.
Right? So when we look at the Aesur-Vanir war between the two gods, right, the two halves of the goddom, we have, the war and the instinctual gods going against, the more abstracted gods. They form a single union, and out of this, Odin is leader. I'm not sure if he was voted king or if he was just the baddest bitch around and said, well, I can throw a spear the farthest, so I'm your man. And everyone said, sure, why not? But one thing we have to note is that Odin wasn't necessarily satisfied with this, because something, and Bryce backed me up on this, that's integral to Odin's central theme and character is that he is always hungry for more knowledge. And I'm not just saying he wants to spend 5 minutes on Wikipedia. He has to know. He has to know, right? I mean, that's why he was keeping. God, what were they called? The vulvas around?
The vulvas, yeah, the Volgas. Volvo.
Good guess, knowledge, and helps you see the future.
Right? Yeah. No. Oh, yeah. Drive one of these today. No, we're not sponsored. Don't drive. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's pretty crazy. Like him being a god of war is like the all-father of God of War. I mean, he is one of the first Aesurs. Him, Vili, and Ve, we're all brothers and sisters. After the worlds combined, made their own worlds, all that stuff. So he's, for being a god of war, it's pretty awesome to see that he is seeking out knowledge instead of just wanting all these other god of wars, like in other mythologies and other religious sects and all that stuff. He wants knowledge, and I feel like that is tremendously awesome.
And what's interesting there is that, you look at, say, Roman pantheon with Jupiter, or the Greeks with Zeus, or
Right.
elsewhere and abroad. And it's not like Zeus had really bad credit ratings. He was always looking for a better financial deal or whatever, right? Or like Jupiter,
Right.
Jupiter didn't have his right arm, so he was always trying to find an arm. Like they're kind of already made whole, Whereas with Odin, he's lacking. He's either lacking to himself anyway, that he doesn't know enough, right? He's driven by something to always pursue and learn and achieve and actually say like, well, I don't know this, but I must know that, right?
Yeah. No, yeah.
It's interesting because there's a perpetual deficit with Odin. He's always seeking knowledge. And he goes so far in a story we're going to be talking about here, that he goes so far to willingly maim himself. And that's the moral, that there is nothing too great a cost in order for higher wisdom. For you kids at home. So, push the needle in, kids. No, none of that.
Just use your hands.
but that's perfect, because one of Odin's most notable monikers, how we can pick him out of the crowd, is that the son of a bitch only has one eye.
Yeah.
Well, how come? Bryce, why does Odin only have one eye?
He sacrificed it, so he made a deal with Mimir, the talking head, after he beheaded it himself.
Now, Mimir was a what?
He was a giant. He caught up in the, he was caught up in the Aesur-Vanir War and all that stuff. And he basically, when all that shit just goes crazy, Odin eventually decapitates him. And he brings the head, because Mimir was like one with so much knowledge and all this stuff and counsel, like beautiful, he was just just like a vulva or a Volga or whatever. And
yeah.
And so he basically, Mimir was like, I will tell you the knowledge if you can sacrifice your eye, So he sacrifices his eye. Even with Mimir's head, the talking head, he is able to predict Ragnarok as well and all this stuff.
Right. It's nice to know when you can see the end coming, right?
Right.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, though, about Odin poking out the eye, I couldn't really find anything that said like what duration that Odin kind of waited to come to the conclusion, maybe I'll pop my eye out. So I like to imagine that the words didn't even leave Mimir's severed head before Odin went bam. All right, what else you got?
I like that little sound effect.
Or
like a little
picked it off the ground, brushed it off, blowed it off, put it in his pocket for good luck. Or was Odin more like tentative at this? Was he just like, but if I poke out my eye, I lose my depth perception, and then I can't hit targets as well. And I don't know. I got to weigh my options. But Mimir's going like, you want to know Ragnarok, don't you? And Odin probably, maybe then he finally succumbs to the like piercing logic of a giant's severed head. That's right. That's what we're talking about. Being convinced by a severed head of a mythical giant. Oh, only in Norse mythology. So it's just kind of interesting. Something that's so unique and like distinctive to Odin, him popping his eye out. There's really no mention as to how long it took him to decide.
Right. It was like, it didn't. No one wrote like Snorri Sturluson.
Yeah, Snorri.
Come on, man, make it sound more epic. Like he walked around in his chambers, contemplating.
Right? Which is interesting.
No, it's just like, nope, I'm going for it.
Right. Which is interesting because one thing I've noticed that's kind of absent, lacking in these Norse myths is kind of like not like duration counts of any type, right?
Yeah.
A year, a day, even if that's an abstracted day, like in the Old Testament, like there's really nothing. It just kind of says, so this happened, and then this happened, and then that happened. Which is it indicative that the Viking culture didn't really much care?
I don't think so.
Historical, like keeping track of amounts of winters or seasons or years or eclipses that went by. They're just like, fuck that. It'll come around again. We have to have the stories, though, right?
We have to have all of it.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
So Odin pops out his eyes, right? And he says, even then, that's not enough. He says to himself, it'd be really cool? Runes. Huh?
Runes. This is my favorite story.
I was reading the story. This one is ridiculous.
Yeah. It's
For the kids at home, runes are, written letters, more or less, more so kind of a bridge between character symbols and like a Latinized alphabet, right? This is what the Vikings and the Germans used before the Romans slapped into them, before the Carolingians or Charlemagne or or Christianity slapped into them or brought with them, that Latinized alphabet. These were the symbols they used to communicate with each other with.
yeah, and a lot of people believe that each symbol did not only just spell out words, but it had a magical meaning behind it.
Yeah,
like there was meanings.
You're able to access or interact or influence the world and shape forces around you with the use of the runes. So that's kind of where we get our old Arthurian legend of the likes of Merlin being able to incant in a secret old forgotten language. I mean, that guy just could have been a goddamned old Viking just spouting off some runes.
Right. No, honestly, I mean, yeah, he could have. He could have. He's probably, he could just been Odin,
Or it could, Bryce, you got it.
Yeah.
Get Alex Jones on the line. Merlin is Odin.
Merlin's Odin.
They're turning the runes gay.
God, I wish I could talk like him. Like, Merlin's Odin.
You'll never been. Man, if you guys at home again want to laugh your ass off for 15 minutes, Alex Jones meme compilation, YouTube. Oh my God. That's the state of our modern world.
I want people that know how to generate like memes better than I can to make or even Photoshop a meme. I want someone to do a Photoshop of Odin and Alex Jones together on a show, There
you go.
I was Merlin. No, you were not. Oh my God. That's some Hillary bullshit.
Yeah. Challenges out there. Someone give us a Photoshop pic of Odin and Alex Jones sitting down. But until that time, Odin has to discover the runes, right? Now here's the thing. Here's the key. He doesn't invent the runes. He discovers them because the runes are timeless in the Norse mythos, right?
Basically they've been on Midgard.
They've kind of already been there, right? Just no one has really bothered much with them, right?
Yep. Which is kind of cool, man. I mean, it's like a hidden treasure that's always been in the earth. I mean, like this book I really want to read. It's about like how these robots, like these big mecha robots, have always been in the world, like buried underneath the world for millions of years, because people time traveled back just to put them there. Like, I don't know. It's kind of interesting because it's like, do we even know that much about our world? Maybe
not really.
I mean, now I'm kind of straying away, but
that's why myths were invented. How the hell do we make sense of this? Why the fuck does that orange globe, that orange burning circle come up in the same direction almost every day? What the hell?
Right. Let's make a story.
What the hell is hell? I don't know, man. It hasn't been invented yet.
Actually, I was going to write a book about how I'm done. Republicans create heaven and hell. Anyways.
Oh, interesting. We'll cover that some other time.
No, okay. I haven't had my coffee yet, obviously. So,
Bryce, we're getting way too far into the weeds.
We are.
We got to bring it back.
Yeah.
So, where are these runes? Well, these runes, for a brief recap about how this world is all stitched together, these runes are deep down, right? Yeah. At the very roots of Yggdrasil. Yggdrasil being that world tree that kind of acts as the bones, the spine, the sinew between the various worlds, right?
Mm-hmm.
And at the bottom of Yggdrasil is the Well of Urd, right? This is where the tree grows out of, which is pretty much a bottomless pool of anything and everything, right? That contains immense beings and powerful forces and things that have been and never shall be, always were, real abstracted, crazy stuff. But that's where Yggdrasil grows out of, right? And down there at the base of it, right next to the pool, and I don't know if this is actually coming out of Viking mythos or if it's just been tailored because, again, everything we know about Vikings comes to us after the fact, written by Christians.
Right.
More or less. But there are three beings, and they're called the Nornes. And these Nornes bear a very striking resemblance to the fates in Greece. You know, those three
Yep.
ladies who are like, they hold the thread of
Spinning
every
it up.
man's life, and they cut it, and then he dies, and off to Hades he goes. All that stuff. But
Isn't
here,
it weird how all them integrate together so easily? You know, like you have like kind of actually makes you think about what the truth is. If there are three ladies, you know, in the bottom of the world, like in the middle of the world, just like this is, yeah.
I mean, for me, the truth is, just because I like to believe in Occam's razor, right? The simplest outcome is probably the most likely, is that, you know, way back when you had traders, you had people coming, you had migrants of some sorts, you had soldiers on campaigns talking, sharing stories. The stories come, the stories go. And through that, you get a cross pollination of culture, right? Who knows if the Norns were a purely Germanic or a Viking invention, or if they got that from the Greeks, or if they did have Norns, and at one point there was like 99 of them, but for sake of consistency, they boiled them down to 3.
Yeah, you know,
Who knows? But
who knows?
for intents of this story, given to us through the ages by the scribings of Snorri Sturluson, there are 3 of them, right?
Jeez.
And they kind of exert their influence kind of over destiny, right? They're like the 3 gals, and you could maybe say that 3 is obviously a very common thing, you know, birth, life, death, 3, and all that. But one of the ways that they would exert their influence on destiny is by carving the runes into Yggdrasil's trunk. So you get these 3 ladies, and the way they can kind of like influence the way things will happen or appear tomorrow and over the next horizon is by carving these runes into the world tree's trunk, which grows out of the Well of Urd. So you've got this like cosmic tree growing out of this infinite pool with 3 righteous broads whipping out their switchblades and carving the coolest symbols of runes they can. And they're just like, damn, stock market's going to crash in 1929. Pull out.
Oh my God.
I know, right?
Fucking tangent. Making it relatable to modern day. Jesus.
Right? So that's where the runes kind of are. And beyond that, I couldn't find anything about where the runes really came from. They're just there. The Norns know of them, and they cut them into the Yggdrasil's trunk. And then, you know, these symbols then are able to affect the 9 other worlds because their influence goes through Yggdrasil's trunk. You see? See, I'm moving my arms around the room. Please, do you see?
You're so strong. Like, I can just see you just waving it, like trying to match all the tree branches.
Right. And then, of course, looking down from a seat up in Asgard is our boy Odin, because he can see pretty fucking far, apparently. And he's like Heimdall.
He's the one who guards the bridge, and he can see over all 9 worlds. So
there you go.
Yeah, and so that's Odin. Yeah, Odin kind of
flag signals.
Yep. Yep.
They have the what? Oh, runes. They have the runes.
He's just seeing it from like the 4 doors of every corner.
So Heimdall, right? That was the guy's name? Heimdall.
Yep.
I was going to say Heimdall, and I was like, no, it's not Heimdall. Heimdall can see far, and he guards the bridge. So who knows? Maybe he dropped a quick little hint to Odin saying, yo, boss man, I know how you're trying to, you know, always pretty much P90X your mind, brother. So I found these runes for you. Boy, does that date me doing a P90X fucking reference?
Jesus.
But in any case, Odin eventually learns of the runes. He doesn't necessarily like master them. He just knows of them. He doesn't know how to influence them, conjure them, or listen to that. He actually has to then go down Yggdrasil, down into the Well of Urd, next to the Well of Urd, rather, and then actually, you know, chat with the Norns.
I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? That sounds really cool.
I'm there.
Right. I mean, right? You know, he's probably just bleeding from the eye right there too. What happened to you, Odin? Well, you know, nothing really. Just seeking more knowledge. That's why I'm here.
Just seeking more knowledge. Just doing what any other, king of the gods might do. I'm an Allfather. It's what I do.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Now we have kind of like, our players are set up and the scene is committed. Now we have Odin down next to the Well of Urd, next to the trunks or the roots of Yggdrasil, next to the Nornes, and because they can't really just automatically give it to him, right? Odin has to, prove himself some way, right?
Yeah.
Because the runes will only appear to those who are basically worth it, right? Because if you can influence destiny, you don't want to give runes to Saddam Hussein. That would be bad. You might be better off giving it to Martin Luther King.
Oh, that's a dog. It's too much gain.
Take it out. Maybe
I
it's Loki. Just the guy has come to distract us.
I know it's my roommate's dogs, and he hates me.
Oh, poor Poochie. Wait, the dog or the roommate?
I'm just the dog.
Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Sorry about that.
Too good. So the runes will reveal themselves to pretty much people who are worth it, right?
Yeah.
People who, are worthy of these fearful insights and abilities. So, of course, we're talking about a guy who listened to a severed head to poke his eye out. What does he do? Odin hangs himself from a branch.
Oh my god, right. This is honestly my favorite shit ever.
Right? This story gets whacked. So Odin hangs himself, right, to prove like nothing is below the pursuit of wisdom, or no price is too high, all this and that.
Yeah.
So I will hang myself, right? He starts to undergo like physical danger to himself, to acquire these runes or gain their insight. And he doesn't stop there, right? Yeah. He doesn't stop there. He then pierces himself with his spear, his very own spear. And it's unclear if he did this before or after he hung himself, right?
Yeah, right. No, like that's another thing with like the Jesus Christ tale. It's kind of weird because like with the Romans, they were poking at Jesus, all this stuff. And one second. Fucking Christ. Shut up. Oh my god, dude, this fucking hell sucks.
That's the raw stuff we're after here.
Right. Fucking going live all the goddamn time. We're gonna skip it. What?
Just remember, don't hit the animal because PETA has more power than the NRA. People care more about animals than fucking human beings. Could you imagine the shitstorm that would befall us if you hit that animal on?
I didn't hit my dog.
Like live.
Oh my god.
Think of the podcast price.
I know, man. Oh, goddamn fucking. It's like, do I want to have guns or do I want to not hit animals? It's like, can't have anything in between. Fuck, I guess anyways, it's kind of crazy with the Roman thing, where Jesus was hung up on the cross, right? Slowly dying, but wasn't allowed to die until God gave that will. Same with Odin. It's kind of like he was being poked by spears or some shit, right?
Except instead of, the occupying enemy force of a Roman centurion doing it, he's just like, watch this. Does it to himself.
Right. And
while he's maybe swinging from a branch from the world tree. This motherfucker.
Right. Yeah, does it to himself. He's just like, I want to know like what pain feels like. And then that's where like really fucking cheap music comes from.
That's right.
Yeah.
Odin, he's the reason 80s pop happened.
He's the reason the Smiths were created.
Love it. All
right,
so Odin is pretty much, hanging himself from a tree branch, like not just any tree branch, Yggdrasil, the world tree, right? He stabbed himself with his spear. And here's another thing, because he could have sought assistance, right? That wouldn't necessarily really proven himself worthy in the eyes of, say, the Norns or the Fates or the other forces of the cosmos here, especially the runes. So, in an act of selflessness and to show he's willing to put himself out there, he forbids any other gods from granting him any aid, right? Not even a sip of water. So he's not only starving himself, he's dehydrating himself, he's stabbed himself, he's hanging himself, and he just steers down into the Well of Urd, that infinite black pool of like galaxy water. And he just stares down and down
Mhm.
and down and down. And he calls to the runes. But the runes don't quite answer yet, right? He keeps calling, no answer. He keeps calling. I mean, he survives, right? He survives in this state between life and death for no less than 9 days and nights. And this is, honest to God, but like one of the only few times I've ever heard one of those mythic durations ever put into one of these stories, right? 9. Isn't that an interesting number? Why
Mhm.
9? Huh? What? Why 9?
Yeah, it's kind of
Man,
yeah.
heavy
I'm
shit.
it's just yeah. I'm trying to like think about it right now. I'm like, geez, okay, why 9? What is 9? What's the meaning of 9? Going on.
Relatively 9 months to pregnancy, but again, you'd have to establish a 12, or you'd have to
Jesus
establish a month, right?
Christ.
I
I think
mean,
you're onto something.
I mean, but I mean, like that's just kind of arbitrary because
Right.
how did they count pregnancies, right? Like 3 seasons, two and a
3
half
seasons.
seasons,
Yeah,
like
and then
10
once it's
cycles of
out,
a moon,
wonder how
right?
they even gave birth. Is it just
They bit down. They bit down on a spear shaft and just pushed real hard. One,
right? Yeah,
maybe 2.
you know,
The real stubborn ones,
right.
3 of them. Boom, out
Get out, get out.
right.
Like fuck. Like, okay, imagine that though. Like, what, like when it like pops out and all that shit. Like, what the fuck? Did they just like whatever? This doesn't have anything to do with Odin. I just realized that. Okay,
Hey
I
man,
think we gotta have a.
you can't force the tangents. They'll just fucking happen on their own.
No, I know, I know, and I'm like, oh no, I'm
so,
doing it.
so Odin is hanging, bleeding, dehydrating, starving for 9 days, right? No less than 9 days and nights. So it could have been more. We don't know, but he apparently unlocked the bare minimum of do this yourself for 9 days. And at the end of the 9th night, he
Mm-hmm.
then looked down in the Well of Urd and saw at last the runes. They had answered him. They're coming up at him. They accepted his selflessness. They accepted his various trials he imposed on himself. He proved to the very forces of the universe that he was worthy of runic knowledge, right?
Runic knowledge.
And so the runes came forth and then not only revealed their forms, but also secrets that lie within them, which probably pissed the Norns off something fierce because let's be real, they probably had a monopoly on this shit.
Yeah.
Right? And after all this, he he fixed this knowledge in his formidable memory and probably did a quick cloud storage backup to Mimir's decapitated head real quick, just like buddy, write this down.
Really quick. Yeah, it's kind of like
And,
like eventually we're gonna be leading into that scientifically.
right?
Yeah.
Don't worry, Bryce. If you become decapitated and self-aware, I'll carry you around, and
Thank
you and
you.
I can go through the ordeal of the runes. And when the runes reveal themselves to us, we too can scream as Odin
It's like
screamed in
that.
exultation with the lines. I love
It's like
this.
that movie Swiss Army Man with Daniel
Oh
Radcliffe.
Jesus, that was a trip.
That was yeah.
That was a trip and a half. If you people listening out there have not seen Swiss Army Man, I don't know if I recommend it sober or slightly inebriated or really
Yeah.
high.
Yeah.
It's a different film. It's entertaining,
It's
makes you think,
amazing.
but
It's
it's out there. It ain't Transformers, kids.
What is sex like? Well, it's like I'm done. Just watch
My
it.
my my. So Odin, having fixed this knowledge, right? He's got the runes finally. He's got the runes. He screams out, right, at the roots of the world tree. Then I was fertilized and became wise. I truly grew and thrived. From a word to a word, I was led to a word. From a work to a work, I was led to a work. So he's kind of surrendering himself to this knowledge. He's now able to conjure and craft with the runes, and equipped with the knowledge of how to wield the runes.
Yeah.
He then joins that elite crew of one of the mightiest and most accomplished beings in the cosmos, Now, here's an interesting thing. It wasn't that he won a war against the gods. It wasn't that he was one of the first to arrive. It wasn't that he went through the ordeal, right? It was when he was armed with the ability to pretty much write, to create poems, to express creatively, to write down historical accounts, right? Pretty much capture, warp, create, share, and disseminate knowledge in written form. That's the point. He becomes truly a mighty being, right?
Yeah. And it's really cool because it shows that education is more stronger than the sword. You know, one of my
That's
favorite.
right. Omnibus package through Congress. Oh, I'm sorry. We're getting political.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, who cares?
Quite topical.
Fuck it. Quite. No, it's like my favorite quote from any book I've ever read was the first Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire, was when Tyrion Lannister like told his dad, he was all like, a book is mightier than any sword, and I'm like, fuck.
Hell yeah.
And that's like even Odin knows that. He's like, I got a cool fucking spear, but it's like I have all this knowledge I'm forming.
How can I tell the mortals of the plains of Midgard if I can't share with them a story?
Yeah.
How does the story live beyond through the runic words?
Runic
honestly, and I think with that, Bryce, I think part one of Odin.
I think part one should be done now. Yeah. Yeah. I think we're stepping into the right area.
Hell yeah. So there you go, folks. There you go.
Well, thank you guys for watching. Today has been sponsored by Children of Freya. If you skateboard out there, get a board right now.
Put some runes on it. Master the cosmos.
Oh, shit.
And remember, my fellow Viking warriors, work together and launch the ships. We'll catch you next time.